Late afternoon through early evening light is a funny thing. There's a point at which the high, consistent afternoon light deceptively lingers and shifts to long shadows with angles that magnify what we perceive as subtleties. Trout certainly don't see them as subtle, and if you aren't careful to mind the shifting light, you'll find trout spooking before your flies land on the water, leaving you no chance to catch them. Our best example of this occurred on a small cutthroat trout stream. We had a great afternoon casting dries and catching trout. It was a game of pitch and catch as these eager trout pounded dries and droppers. Every riffle, run, and pool we fished was alive with the warm fall sun. As the afternoon turned to 4 and 5 o'clock, the sun's angle dipped, and rather than a consistent overhead light, there was now more a side light angling into every run. We watched this cutthroat trout rising in the beautiful sunbeam, rising out of the trough to feed on mayflies and midges. The key was that the sunbeam was coming in through a slot in the canyon wall and forest canopy. On either side of the sunbeam, a distinct shade line provided heavy contrasting shade, magnifying the light to one strong strip. Anything crossing or infringing on that sunbeam was going to be seen by this cutthroat, and it was likely to bolt for cover or shy from the surface. I recognized what was likely to happen and decided to cast my small stimulator on the water and see its reaction. I wasn't surprised at its response to my intrusion. Being smarter than your average cutthroat, we decided this was a good time to have a snack break to let the fish's nerves recover, to let it decide the threat was over. In the 15 minutes from it spooking to it deciding to return to its feeding lie, the sun shifted enough, providing me a streak of shade to use to approach the run under cover, undetected in order to get above the trout as to cast more cross-stream and not put my line over its shoulder. Because the beam of light was right on the fish and I was in shaded cover, I had little concern of spooking it with my body movement. I simply had to keep my casting movement subtle and lay the fly gently on the water upstream of the trout and allow it to drift to it without surface disturbance. This is one of countless examples of how we have to own the light, to look at its angles and intensities, and how they interact with strong contrasts. If you find you're on a stream and trout are spooking before your flies hit the water or soon after, especially where they hadn't been earlier in the day, take a look at how your leader, tippet, and flies are interacting with the light beams. See if they're crossing the sun and bombing the fish. Find ways to remain in shadow, use it to your advantage. If you have to, switch to a downstream or cross-stream presentation, leading and feeding your flies to the trout.